Yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 124 of Mini Truckin Magazine, April 2002. Definitely have a lot to talk about. It's Dennis Slamka's Spicy Taco. Now, I love tacos, and as I've always said, I cannot rattle the names off of these different Tacomas like some of you guys can, but I love Tacomas, and this is a nice truck. 98 Tacoma, obviously with graphics, you can see. He was from Middletown, Ohio. Lance shot the cover. This was his 15th credited cover. And if you stick with me to the end, we'll talk about how many cover trucks had the wheels, the manufacturer of the wheels on this truck. This was RA's 16th member, so Relaxed Atmosphere, 16th member on the cover. The model is Jama Trent, I believe is how you say her name. A very cool cover, a little bit different. Obviously, we've had, I think I said recently, about 75% of the covers had models. And this one's, she's very front and center, kind of that zoomed in look of the truck. What we can tell here is obviously the truck has graphics. We see, based upon where the logo's at, didn't have to really Photoshop off anything there. Just a real clean cover. Again, awesome, showing the Midwest a little bit of love. At the top, we can see the bonus Reader's Ride Special, so we'll see that is your truck here. So that's kind of a cool little thing, something a little different that they do. If you like what we're doing here, check out OLP via any podcast app for the most part, and it's free. So the Alter Images ad. One thing that I notice here is you see Dennis's truck. There's not the typical little caption, and I don't know if that was there. I want to say it was last month, but remember the little caption that you typically get? They would take, a little funny joke about, who shot it or whatnot. But for this one, what you end up seeing is they kind of start to continue to refine from an art direction perspective. And we could see here, Truckin Long did this where they kind of call out the cover truck. But you could see there, obviously, the middle, because it would always typically have that center section for the center fold, and you can see there a little bit of the intel. Of course, Lance shot it, and then Jama Trent was her name, beautiful lady on the cover. You can see here again continued refinement on the web, and they give a little bit of insight to what's in this issue. There's a tech article featuring this truck, the Durango, and the Mazda. That was probably a Heat Wave, which is in this issue. Of course, Lance Martz is the editor at this point. I kind of have taken, haven't talked a lot about that. Lance talks about here, yes, you can, and talks about mini truckers doing the dang thing, getting out there, working on their own rides. And we do see a photo of Purgatory. Purgatory was for sale. Many of you chimed in on my post. I did a throwback post recently, and there is some intel that will be coming on that truck. It was for sale, and it's no longer for sale. So more to come. They continue to highlight different things, custom tacos, just drag it, different AOL old school sites, Earthlink, things like that. There's a throwback term for you, Earthlink. When's the last time you heard that? With some of these, I'll try to be as efficient as possible, kind of going through it and making sure to hit the high points. The 4th annual Dragon Shine, so kind of a cool little name, spin-off of like maybe Show and Shine, so kind of cool. You got a lot of tech in this one, including Finnegan here, 10 trick tips. And it just kind of goes over different things. I always like those because it was a condensed tech article, but it showed you, the 1 through 10 thing is kind of a cool thing because it hits on some good tips and tricks. Here you have Mike Reeves with the 90 Yoda, nothing personal, win at all costs. And super clean truck. Suicide doors. Nice colors. Check out the door panels. Sly Suicide. And you can see here, super nice interior. And then check out this engine bay cover. All you see is the chrome air cleaner cover. Pretty radical. Again, if you like what we're doing here, leave a comment. And like I said, check out OLP. We continue to see subscriber growth. We recently had Adam on, who works for Customz, and he is the president of Extreme Lows. So you might see this 10 years down the road and say, what's OLP? Our lifestyle podcast. It should hopefully be out there forever. This was Texas Heat Wave. This would have been 2001 because we're in April 2002 issue. This was the one and only year I went. My buddy Russ and I flew out there, hung out with Chad Lucas, and you can see there's the photo from the TOC, or Table of Contents. I took so many photos on film at this show, and when I took all of the photos and had them developed, somehow they got developed more than once. You know, typically you'd get 2 photos. I got 4 and 5 and 6 somehow, and I have a huge stack of photos, and I posted some of it in the past. Super clean Mazda with, it looks like a little white wall tire in there maybe, or is that just the wheel? But this is kind of in an era when BMX stuff was real big at shows, and they did something there. I don't remember personally seeing that. And this looks similar to that truck, but it's not. That truck is the truck that's featured in the issue. Russ and I went. We got a chance I got to ride with Bill Carlton in his famous pewter dually that had been laced up with Maxwell graphics at that point. I rode into the show on Saturday with him, I think it was. And man, it was hot. A lot of people hated that they moved it to that Dell Diamond Center or whatever it was called. It was on asphalt, and it just was hot. But a lot of good memories from that weekend. Here is the Mazda for the tech article. Here's East Coast Nationals. So Tim's Red Dog. I saw him at Mini Nats. Good dude. Durango. This was Lee Farmers we recently saw. Pebble Pushers. I talked to the homie at the show. It's crazy. Some of us are still going to these shows and whatnot. So we are almost halfway done with, I guess, this issue and going through all of these magazines, which is crazy. So again, Spicy Taco. I love that the name Tacoma, or short Taco, there's so many cool name variations of it, right? And Spicy Taco certainly is a great name to spin off of Taco. You have Mike Finnegan, who does the write-up, interview style, of course, and then the box with the intel. Again, super beautiful model and a really, really awesome truck. You can see the license plate there in the middle. Super clean engine bay. The Ohio plate. Awesome stuff. What do you guys think of this one? I think it's definitely deserving, and it was important to have trucks featured from all over the country. You couldn't just, run West Coast trucks. So this was the Midwest, as I said earlier, getting some love. Check out the vital stats there. Biggity boom. The vital stats. Super clean truck. Always enjoyed seeing Tacomas. I mean, there's so many awesome ones out there. This one's certainly deserving of a cover, in my opinion. Relaxed atmosphere. Shout out to RA. So moving along, you have the Euro Flava. Back when, quick tech article could be just swapping out taillights, which is awesome. Still running the ads there. Okay, so on the cover, they hinted at Reader's Ride. So this is, if you look up here, Ridin Around Spectacular. And Finnegan says, every now and then the MT staff raids its file cabinet features, finds a few things that have slipped through the cracks. This, I believe, was at Spring Fling 01. I think I remember seeing photos of it too. Could have been shot down there in Florida, but I'm sure it hit a lot of different shows. So, pretty cool. That was Pete Stewart. Here we have Chris Call. This thing was super clean. How did this thing not get a feature? And you ask, and sometimes the tech sheets would be lost back in the day. Email was big, but it wasn't as prevalent as now. You couldn't just go on Instagram. This was Travis Cox's super awesome Moz Dawg. Look at that thing. So clean. And we go down here. This was built by Custom Works in Union City. Stan Clark. Man, Custom Works, Matt Long, all those guys, man, they built some of the coolest stuff. And then it did continue over, although these are in black and white, because believe it or not, we're still not all in color yet. But it did continue with the Spectacular, so pretty cool. And this was Aaron, E-R-I-N, Hit Juniors. Saw a couple of topless dimes just like that at Mini Nats. And then Jonathan Goolsby, looks like, right in front of that same wall that I've talked about where it seems like a lot of features were shot. Which is cool. You know, it just kind of goes to show you a lot of, you know, these guys, these editors, these, you know, folks, freelancers and whatnot, they'd go to shows, you know, boots on the ground. They'd have to do a lot of work, sweating all day, doing features after the show, just wanting to get ready to get to dinner, I'm sure. EJ Cardinal, 97 S10, super clean. We saw this insert photo on the cover, and I'm sure I'm butchering the name. I apologize. Hammond, Louisiana. And my guess is the paint on this thing was done by a really awesome painter I got a chance to meet. And we'll look here. Yeah, Cal Smith right here. And ironically enough, his name is Cal Smith, K-A-L, not to be confused with Cal Concepts. And if you look at this paint scheme, really, he's got a story to tell, and I'd love to get him on. He dates back. He predates Cal Concepts, believe it or not. That's a little tidbit for you guys. I'm sure there's people that could slice and dice that story, but Cal's an older guy, and he has helped, if you ask anybody in that that region of the country down there in Alabama, Louisiana. He's painted a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff. And that truck is one of them. I want to say I saw that truck at Lakefront Tour one year, but a lot of trucks, a lot of memories, a lot of different years. All I know is that I don't know nothing. That's the way I feel sometimes. That's what Finnegan's Life in the Phat Lane. He talked about going to you know, pick up something cool and seeing a vehicle that was like made out of all billet type stuff. And you know, Finnegan has done great in his career. He's a hardcore enthusiast, true and true. Okay, repeat offender. So oops, he did it again. And this is Phil Rush building a Durango. This would have been at SEMA. How do we know? Well, it's April at this point. You know, several months past. You can see in the background they wouldn't have went out to the middle of the salt flats just to shoot a feature. As you know, I'm sure by now a lot of, you know, folks will line things up at SEMA, running around, and they would pick that, you know, end of the week to meet out there. And this was RA vehicle. This is an era for the new kinfolk out there. TVs were all the rage, screens, whatever you want to call them. I know it was on a television, but you get what I'm saying. These screens were all the rage, and in some vehicles, I mean, the guys would put them in the back just to have them. You know, Mike needs to do that in the Mazda. But seriously, you got the front, you got the fold out, you got the fold out in the front, you got the visor. They started making screens super tiny. And I thought about this one day. It's really crazy how iPhones, smartphones, iPads, all of that almost like kind of killed off that whole segment, so to speak. Do people, I'm sure, you know, mom and dad still have some TVs for the kids, yeah, and the headrest, but now you get an iPad, and the iPad can go anywhere. So it really did kind of just blow away that whole segment. Ryan Barber, the Construction Zone, super clean Ranger. You'll notice the Construction Zone, again, a little bit with the art department, kind of seeing a little bit more flair with the feature there. You could see how important it is. I mean, sure, the content is great, but being able to do a great layout is fantastic. It reminds me of, you know, the sequencing on an album, how important that is. I know people don't listen to albums anymore, but, you know, just seeing this layout and what they were doing and how they were kind of evolving is super cool to look back on. This thing was insane. Kevin Holland, you guys probably know that name, Gulfport, Mississippi at the time. This is a Mighty Max Macrocab. And I always forget the term macrocab, so don't kill me, Mitsu guys. You think extended cab is kind of the term that we all call them, and you think King Cab, Cab Plus, and whatnot. But super, super cool. Konfuzed Customz, confused with a K, Customz with a Z. Remember seeing that logo a lot. And repping NC, Kevin Holland, shout out. What's up? There's that photo. I was talking to Matt Torgerson. I got a chance to hang out with Matt recently. I showed you the guys that gem recently in the last flip through, and that was Brandon's truck. I remember, I think Matt body dropped it like 2.5, 2 3/4, something like that. Was pretty awesome. And you can see the big building in the back there. That's still there. So we're going to wrap this up here in just a minute. And appreciate you guys sticking with us till the end. See the ad there. Sport Truck Specialties. You got MIC. They were advertising a lot, so they would have showed love. And then think of this. What song comes together when you see that title? Unfadable, so please don't try to fade me. Brandy Golo. That was the wife of Russell, right? I believe, Russell Golo. And this feature is super sick. Love this truck. You guys know I love some Mazdas. But look how low it is. The wheels look great. I'm more a fan of the stock interiors. But as I've said in the past, you get around 2000s, you start having guys painting dashes, doing a lot of even more crazier fiberglass stuff. So it's just trends kind of come and go. This, I believe, was Chris Hansen's. I believe, based upon the wheel, I was looking at some photos of his the other day. That was the copper version. For those that do not know, Eli ended up acquiring that truck. It got redone to gray and silver on the cover, and then he comes back swinging with the reddish pewter, and he gets Mini Truck of the Year. So this truck, 3 versions, at least that I know of, and I believe that's Chris Hansen's. And then last but not least, you got Subculture on the right. Check this out, those awards. I wonder if that was Slamboree, maybe? That probably was. Charles or someone could chime in, because I think, was it the previous year, or was it 02 Slamboree? I know he ended up, tearing it up there in terms of, awards. But you can see Subculture there. I saw this at Indy Bash 01. That awesome van, like a P30 type van. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Old school Datsun throwback. Feed Me, that famous Blazer from Michigan. Low Rollers, got a chance to hang out with Phil Fowler and some of the kinfolk, Matt Hodgson, even some of the East Coast Mini guys at Mini Nats. This was at Greenville. We also put a severed logo on one of the cop cars when the mayor was there, and he blessed it, and he gave the key to the city, I think, to Mitch Rawl. I was standing right there. I've got videos of it. I don't know how good the video is, but I'll have to post that sometime. And then boom, look at that. Crazy. Mini truckers rule, man. They come up with some crazy stuff. Okay, so I promised at the beginning I would share one other tidbit, and this is under 20 minutes, so hurrah, ODBs. Speeding some of these up, which helps the channel with a little bit different links of videos. But there's only one cover vehicle, only one cover truck to have focal wheels. It's this one. Shout out to Dennis Slamka. Possibly the coolest name for a cover truck owner. Slam, S-L-A-M-K-A, Slamka. Lance, again, shooting this is another cover for Lance, which is awesome to me. And his 15th, and of course RA's 16th cover. Stay on the rise, my friends. Subscribe. We out ya. Peace.